Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is June 1st, and today we're going to take a look at this system out over the Pacific Ocean. It's going to be impacting the Pacific Northwest through the day tomorrow and on into Friday. It's going to bring some thunderstorms across the region, potential for a few severe storms as well for eastern portions. And the Cascades could get a strong thunderstorm as well tomorrow, as well as some flash flooding concerns for portions of the Okanagan higher terrain and some of the North Cascades. We'll take a look at that in some detail here. And taking a look at the severe weather across New Mexico and Texas, firing up today, still some severe thunderstorm warnings going on across the region, some flooding concerns, and some really big hail out there. But checking things out, I wanted to show you guys this, the trade wind flow over the Hawaiian Islands. The trade winds generally go around the highest peaks. So that's why a place like Mauna Kea makes such an excellent observatory and where a place to put telescopes. But you can see this moisture wrap around these mountains and form these areas of convergence downstream. But a lot of this trade wind moisture rings out on the windward side of the islands. They tend to get some, gentle showers, and that's why the windward side of these islands are so wet, the Hawaiian Islands. So just a little trade wind 101 there for you if anybody likes to travel out to the Hawaiian Islands. Checking out SeaTac yesterday. Look at this, guys. Got to 70 yesterday out here, and that broke our below average streak there as we got a little bit above average here. And we're probably going to do the same thing tomorrow. It should be pretty warm across the region as we're in the warm sector of the storm that's moving in here, bringing some thunderstorm activity tomorrow. But you can see across the rest of the country some severe thunderstorm warnings going on, some hydraulic concerns going on across Montana, Oregon, Washington. Flash flood watch for North Cascades, Okanagan Highlands here. We'll take a look at that, as I said, in a little bit more detail coming up. You can see there's even a flash flood warning for a portion of Oklahoma there. But checking out tomorrow, there is this marginal risk, mainly for Oregon here, right up towards the Washington border. That might be extended a little bit even to eastern Washington tomorrow. And also, we do have, I think they might upgrade this area to a marginal tomorrow. We'll see if the SPC takes a look at that and wants to upgrade that. But there's also that chance tomorrow for some strong thunderstorms, mainly east of the Cascades. So checking this out, Spokane's got a good beat on this. They're talking about widespread heavy rain showers and thunderstorms. Washington, Idaho Panhandle, potential flooding, especially on debris flow. There are mudslides, urban flooding. They have some moderate confidence there, but you can see they talk about the burn scars here on Thursday. Mud and debris flow is possible near burn scars Thursday. So watch out for that, especially for off in the backcountry, especially eastern Washington. And I'll show you why here in a moment. But checking out the NAM tomorrow, wow. I mean, it's showing some mid and upper 70s for portions of western Washington and the Willamette Valley. It remains pretty chilly right along the immediate coast, but eastern portions warm up pretty nicely too. And as we go through Friday, we cool down a bit across the region. You see the Puget Sound is getting into the 60s as well as the Willamette Valley. So a little bit of a cool down coming on for Friday, but still should be a pretty warm day tomorrow across the region. Now check this out. This is the NAM3 cam precipitable water. You can see that tongue of moisture off the Oregon coast kind of moving into our area. And that's just what's coming for this system. You can see a good slug of moisture making it into eastern Washington here. And I'll show you something else here in a moment. We have some upslope flow, some east winds that are going to bank up against the Cascades and Okanagan Highlands there too. That's going to enhance some of that rainfall, and that's why there is that flash flood watch right now for portions of the North Cascades. Checking this out, composite reflectivity on the NAM3KM. As we put this into motion, this is what the Doppler radar may look like, or what it's forecast to look like. As we go through the afternoon Thursday, you can see some of these thunderstorms popping up over the Oregon, Washington Cascades, and then you kind of see this line moving through tomorrow afternoon. That's what that marginal severe risk is for. But you can see that pretty good swath of precipitation. It's going to be some upslope flow, like I just said, into this region. So there could be some locally heavy rainfall amounts going on through the higher terrain there, especially for eastern Washington, North Cascades. So I'll have to keep that in mind. I'll probably do another briefing tomorrow as well to get back on track here since I just got back from storm chasing. But check this out, some strong thunderstorms as well showing up on the model runs on through the day Friday. So we're going to have to watch out for that. Maybe they'll introduce some marginal severe risk and include portions of eastern Washington for tomorrow as well. So taking a look at this here, I wanted to highlight this. This is a 925 millibar winds. This just kind of gives you a shot, or at least a visual, of that east upslope flow here as we go through the day Thursday. You can see this here now. Look at these east winds stretching across, banking up into the Cascades. And that is kind of the opposite of the rain shadow they normally get over there. So, that soil is not it doesn't absorb the water as well as it does on the west side there. They're not used to these heavier rainfall amounts, especially when this forest fire burn scars exist out in this area. So there could be some debris flow and some mud flows out there. I'm checking out the European. Let's see what it calls for as far as precipitation total. This is running through Thursday afternoon. You'll notice the precip start to build up here as you go through Thursday evening and Thursday night. And some pretty good totals there for the Okanagan Highlands and portions of the Cascades. Even Western Washington getting on that action as well as the Oregon Cascades getting some good rainfall amounts. Of course, Vancouver Island never left out really as far as rainfall goes, as well as the Northwest, the whole rainforest here in Washington. We can see some pretty good precip amounts for the higher terrain of British Columbia as well as we go on in through Saturday. So pretty wet period coming up here, folks, as we go through this weekend. So be ready for it. Now, checking out the European here, this kind of shows you where the lightning strikes are forecast to be. Let's go through tomorrow. And we'll see as we go through the early afternoon, you can see some of this instability building up over the Oregon, Washington Cascades through portions of eastern Oregon as we have that marginal risk out there. And you can kind of see this flow that tends to be a little bit upslope. That's going to be the key for some of that flooding concern in eastern Washington. But this is the wrap. This is Supercell Composite. I just wanted to show you guys a couple of soundings of what's going on over the Cascades. So this is the wrap model, and you can see some pretty good instability and some high cloud tops. This is indicative of some fairly strong thunderstorms that could exist across the Cascades. You can see here possible hazard type of marginal severe. So getting close to severe type of thunderstorm here for this area. Good low-level instability, just enough shear to maybe, generate some of these stronger thunderstorms. Now, this is the NAM3 camera, even a more impressive instability profile here. A little bit of shear in the atmosphere, and you can see the potential hazard type for severe here. Good low-level instability as well over the Cascades tomorrow. So heads up if you're in the backcountry for some of these stronger thunderstorms. It extends well down into Oregon as well as the eastern Washington higher terrain. Now, looking at the extended here, the European, this is the trough that's going to bring us our thunderstorm potential tomorrow and Friday across much of the region here. You can see how the trough just hangs out as we go through the weekend, continuing our precipitation chances. As we go through early and mid next week, a little bit of a transient ridge before the troughing just continues out of the Gulf of Alaska. So we're probably going to be dealing with these systems at least through early June and possibly on into mid-June here. We'll take a look to see if the Canadian agrees first. You can see this system, good agreement in the short term as always. See that low churning off the coastline there and really keep the trough near the Washington, Oregon, BC coast. Maybe a little bit of a transient ridge early mid next week. And actually the Canadian, a little bit disagreement there with the European as it holds that ridge on a little more, keeps that Gulf of Alaska low out here. And another thing too, this might spawn some precipitation and clouds across the region, but we would be in kind of a warm sector of any low with this position of this Gulf of Alaska troughing here. So we may warm up as we go on in through next week, at least a little bit. It's not going to be summer-like, but it should be warmer than what we've been dealing with. And going through the extended Canadian there, you can see how it ejects another system over us well on into later next week, but that's too far out in fantasy land to be getting worried about at this point. Here's the GFS showing that troughing offshore here. And as we go through early next week, you can see really good model agreement on the troughing offshore. We're probably going to be dealing with off and on rain all the way through this weekend here. And then you can see a little bit of a ridge move through there, and the troughing never far off as this dives through on into the Midwest. But then we build some ridging on in through next week. So maybe the GFS is on to something there, a little bit of a warm up. That'd be some pretty nice days here going on in through later next week. But again, a little bit too far out in fantasy land. But anyway, here, so Portland International, you can see as we go through this weekend, the troughing is around below average temperatures, and maybe that warm up going on in through mid next week. So enjoy these next, at least tomorrow anyway. Should be a pretty warm day for Portland and Seattle, even though there'll probably be plenty of clouds around, and again, potential for a thunderstorm even into the lower terrain of western Washington or western Oregon. We'll have to watch that too. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow morning in my briefing. Now, checking out SeaTac, I think we might get into the low 70s tomorrow. Quite a nice day, but again, there's going to be a lot of clouds around. It's not going to be a blue sky sunny day for the entire day. And then you see the troughing hanging on through early next week, and then potential for some ridging as we go in through later next week before maybe another trough, but models are not in agreement there. So yeah, watch out for this system tomorrow. Thunderstorms across the region, potential for severe on the east side, and watch out for that flash flooding in the Okanagan higher terrain, North Cascades. So yeah, it's good to be back from storm chasing. I was out there for 9 long days. We only saw a couple tornadoes, nothing too spectacular tornado wise, but some pretty good lightning, good structure, and a great trip. We went all the way from Texas into South Dakota, Nebraska. We were in Iowa. We almost went to Minnesota, Kansas, Texas, New Mexico. We were all over the place out there. Drove over 4,000 miles. Pretty fun trip. I'll probably be out a couple more times, but they'll be shorter trips, and I'll kind of pinpoint certain systems differently on these shorter trips. I'll try to get out there for the better days. But yeah, so keep leaving comments in the keep leaving suggestions in the comments below. It really helps me out as far as how I craft these videos and whatnot. And if you guys haven't, please subscribe, help me out, click like, and it helps get the word about the channel out across the region here. So I will do another briefing tomorrow. We'll take a little bit closer look at the exact timing of these thunderstorms, just how strong they might be. We'll see if anything changes as far as the severity of some of these storms as well. And then we'll compare some models like always and see what kind of weather we can expect this weekend and on into next week, just how warm we'll get with that transient ridge moving through the area. So anyway, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.